Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you guys how I make my version of Kapoon. Every time I make it, it's totally different, but today I decided that I'm going to put in some potatoes, some chicken feet, and I just normally use chicken leg quarters. So I'm going to show you guys what I do for the stock. Usually what I start out with is I use my meat. You can use any kind of meat you want. You can use ground pork. I know some people use beef, but I like to use chicken. And then today I'm adding some potatoes because potatoes tend to make it a little more thick, and they give the curry texture. And then I like to add these lime leaves and some lemongrass. You can add more or less, it's up to you. And today I'm just going to add a couple of these galanga roots. These are just frozen that I had some left over, so I froze them. What I put in after my stock is finished with these four things here is I usually add, of course, salt, MSG. This is totally optional. And then I put a little bit of sugar just to sweeten it up because sometimes it could be a little sour or too spicy. And I add, sometimes you could add chicken cubes, but I like to add chicken flavor. Same thing. I just add like 1 or 2 tablespoons to give it more of the chicken flavor. And for the bamboo, I like to add, these are actually not the shoots, these are more of like the sheets of bamboo. I like these much better. Plus it saves you the work, you don't have to like peel all the bamboo. And I like to add this bamboo in chili oil. This makes the liquid more red. So if some of you guys are wondering how you make it red, the secret is to buy the bamboo in chili oil, and also to add paprika. This makes it red as well. And also, sometimes I add garlic chili oil. Depends on who you're making it for, if they can handle pepper. And then I add coconut milk. I usually add 3 or 4, but today I decided to just get 2 regular sized ones. I get the Royal D, it doesn't matter which brand you get. And I'm getting this coconut cream as well. I just decided to put this in there to thicken it up a little. And quail eggs. This is based on your preference. You don't have to add this. And the most important part, red curry paste. I decided to also add this namya curry paste. Every time I make it, it's totally different. Sometimes I add 2 of the red curry. Sometimes I add this other sweet chili that is also this brand, but they didn't have it, so I just decided to buy this just to try it out. I like to switch it up sometimes. And last but not least, I like to add shrimp paste, just a little bit, like maybe a tablespoon or so, just to kind of brighten up the flavor. And normally I do add sardines, canned sardines and tomato sauce. That's kind of like my little secret. But I didn't put it in today because I just didn't feel like it. But if you guys didn't know, the curry noodles is actually originally made with fish. So that's why I like to add it in there, just to kind of brighten up the flavor. Oh yeah, and of course I like to add fish sauce in the broth. So I've got my pot of water, it's starting to boil. I'm going to add my meat. So I'm going to put in my chicken. And I just used 3 leg quarters and I cut them up into smaller pieces so that they cook a little faster. So there's that, and I'm gonna let that boil. I'm also gonna add my chicken feet in there so they can be nice and tender when they're finished. Just let them cook together so that way you can season it all at the same time. If you add it after, it's not going to cook properly. Then, the potatoes, I am actually going to add these midway through when the meat is kind of almost finished, because you don't want to add them too early, otherwise they're going to break apart and they're going to thicken up the sauce, the curry too much, and it's going to just break everywhere. So, I'll wait on that. And then, I also have another pot boiling in the meantime, and I'm going to start boiling my noodles. So I prefer the thicker noodles. It's really up to you, but you just want to buy the vermicelli noodles. Okay? And also, can't forget, in my broth, I'm also going to add my galanga roots and my lemon leaves and my lemongrass stalk. So we'll let that hang out. So I forgot to mention that I do add garlic in here. Usually I mince it and then I add it with my other flavors, but I'll show you guys how I incorporate this into the liquid. I also mentioned this quickly, but I didn't show it. I like to add ground chili garlic oil. Usually I just add a little bit to kind of make it red and a little more oily, I guess, on top. So as this broth starts boiling, I went ahead and I added about 2 to 3 tablespoons of this chicken flavor, however much you want to put, but I usually don't add a whole lot because I don't want it to be like over seasoned. But you want to make sure that once it starts kind of boiling and you see this white stuff, you want to make sure that you scoop that out so that you have a nice and clear broth. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And remember, once the chicken's almost finished, I would say, I don't know, maybe 20 to 30 minutes in, I would say probably 30 minutes in, throw in your potatoes, and then they'll start cooking. And then once the chicken's done, we want to take it out and shred all the meat off the chicken. It's optional to leave the bones in there, otherwise you could just throw them out and throw the chicken meat back into the broth. So that's how we're gonna make our broth. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. So now that the noodles are done, I just pretty much sprayed it with cold water, get all the heat out, and now I'm going to show you how you cool it down. So you pretty much just grab like a little bundle. This is how I do it. It does not have to be perfect by any means, just because you're going to eat it anyway, but I usually just grab it like this. I let the liquid come out a little bit, and then I hold it like this between 2 fingers. Then I come over here and I kind of just lay it down like that. And you just kind of keep doing bundles of the same thing. So I'll show you one more time. This is how I do it. It is not perfect at all. I am not the queen of folding noodles. But this is how you do it. This is how I do it. This is always the ugliest part of making my Kapoon curry noodles. I'm horrible at putting these noodles away, but oh well. So you guys see here, I've already shredded my chicken meat and I added the potatoes midway through cooking the chicken. So the broth should look like this, and I add a little bit of water to it because it kind of boiled down. Over here in this pan, I put it on medium heat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fry up the curry, just so it brings out the flavor and it's a little more fragrant. So I'm not putting any oil or anything. I'm going to actually add my minced garlic in there.
That'll work. That'll work.
While this garlic is cooking up, I'm going to add the quail eggs. I dumped the liquid because I don't like to add it into the liquid, but I'm adding these in there. I'm also going to add the bamboo sheets, and we're going to throw it right in there. And I just add it in with the liquid so it has kind of a bamboo taste to it. And I'm going to add half of this. I'm going to leave the other half for the mixture that I have going on next to me here. So I'm adding half of this. So you see how it's kind of starting to look a little orange already? Alright. This next pan here, while my garlic's goldening up, I'm actually going to add the curry, the red one here. We're going to fry these ingredients up together, making sure it doesn't burn. And this is the Nam Ya curry, the one that was in here. I used half the bag. I'm going to throw it right in here. Half the bag. And I'm going to add 1 can of coconut curry. Turn the heat down a little. And the rest of the bamboo. You can choose to add all the chili garlic oil in there if you want, but I just did half so it doesn't overflow in my pan. And I'm just going to fry this up. I'll use a fork so I can break apart the curry. I just do this so it's more flavorful, in my opinion. But you can choose to just add all the ingredients straight to the liquid without doing this step. And while this is cooking up, I'm going to add the rest of the coconut into the liquid. So we only need 1 can for the fried one, just so we can kind of cook up the curry. And I'm also going to add the coconut cream in here. So this is going to be really creamy, so you want to kind of whisk it around in there. Keep working on this. Make sure you don't burn the curry here on this side. We just want to mix everything around. I'm also going to go ahead and add in 1 tablespoon of shrimp paste. You can add more or less, it's up to you. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon to our mix there. And we're going to add the garlic chili oil. So I'm going to do start with maybe almost about 2 tablespoons here. You can add more or less depending on how spicy you want it. So now that it's kind of cooked up, I'm gonna transfer this whole entire pot into my liquid. And this is gonna bring it all together. Okay. And I'm also going to add just a little bit more of the garlic chili oil since it does not look as red or spicy yet. And then I go ahead and add this fried garlic in there. This is optional, I just like to add it after, even though we already add garlic, but I like it really garlicky. And squirt some fish sauce in there. And stir it up. So you kind of taste as you go, but that's how it's looking. You see everything all mixed up in there. And at this point, I am also adding in my paprika powder. So this is also spicy, so I gotta be careful. I just add about that much. And add more as you go, depending on how spicy you want as you go. But I'm going to go ahead and add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar. And stir this. And just keep tasting as you go as it's simmering to make sure that everything tastes how you want it to. So this is a finished product, and you just garnish it with bean sprouts, lettuce, lime, jalapenos, some mint, green onion, and cilantro, and then I have some banana leaves, and some garlic and fish sauce and sriracha. But it's really up to you. Most of these are optional. You could just add cilantro, green onion to top it off if you want. But yeah, this is what it looks like after the finished product. Thanks for watching.